dead. Media proudly presents...
Hey everybody, so I just wanted to talk about this one real quick. This one was kind of a bit of a gamble for me. I'd never done a video covering more than one movie at once. Plus, also at the same point, it was sort of both a Couch Kernels and a Saving Popcorn because I covered the newest Home Alone at that point. It's closer to what I'm going to be trying to do in the future here. Partly with the multiple movie thing, because I'm planning to cover multiple in each video where I can. I might do quick ones now and then where I do, just one thing. But for the most part, it's going to be bigger projects from here out. There's also a quick... I appreciate all of the views I received on this video because it made it worth it. My anxiety was through the roof when I built it, and when I put this video together, because I was afraid that I was going to have put all that effort in for next to no response. And it ended up being one of the most watched videos that I had on the channel, so, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I did almost not finish the video, though, because there was a point where I was editing it, and with the way that I was editing it, I made a major mistake and ended up attempting to save over a file that I was working on at the same time, causing the file to be beyond corrupted. It was there. I would have had to reshoot the whole thing. I was ready to call it quits on everything, and that video would have never happened because that clip was integral and it was gone. Just gone. But I want to give a shout out here again and say thank you very much once again to Solemn, because he had it. He had the video. He had it saved on his computer. So I was able to rescue everything. I was able to put everything all back together again. If not, we ended up reshooting a piece of it. I can't remember exactly, but either way, with Solemn's help, we were able to make sure this video happened. And so, shout out to him again. And I've taken up enough of your time for now. Let's get on to that other video.
Merry Christmas, cinephiles. Welcome back to Couch Kernels, where we're still talking about Christmas sequels nobody asked for. And since today is Christmas Day, this will be the last one for this theme.
Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so.
Now, no Christmas series would be complete without talking about Home Alone. And I know what you're thinking, but I actually like that one, so we won't be talking about it. No, we're looking at Home Alone 4, or Home Alone Taking Back the House. I bought a 4-pack of these movies before actually seeing the fourth one, and I sorta regret it. I'd actually prefer a set that only contains the first 3. Oh well. Also, Freiheit and I enjoy watching bad movies together sometimes, so I invited him to come and watch this one with me. He said he would, but he had to do something first. Let's check in with him. Okay then. Let's just hop right into this one then, shall we? The criteria this time are plot and writing, acting, dialogue, soundtrack, and visuals. So this time, Kevin is 9 years old and played by a different actor. I suppose in 2002 it would have been weird having 22-year-old Macaulay Culkin in the role, but whatever. My big issue is that he's supposedly 9. That technically means this movie takes place between 1 and 2.
Ma'am, I'm 8 years old. You think I'd be here alone? I don't think so.
I'm 10 years old. TV's my life.
And now it's time for Ranting with Media, our new unscripted segment brought about because media felt a strong urge to get nitpicky.
Right, so this is going to be a segment where I discuss things that I didn't discuss during the filming of the episode. Nothing I scripted. There's no script here. I'm probably also not going to edit it very much, but I just wanted to talk in this case about the Home Alone franchise. Particularly, I want to talk about the continuity between Home Alones 1 and 2. Because, as I pointed out in the video here, in the first one Kevin says he's 8, and in the second one he says he's 10, which therefore then puts the fourth one somewhere between the two. But then there's this other problem in there. See, because Harry mentions in Home Alone 2 at one point that they were locked up a year ago. So I've been trying to figure out for like 20 plus years how in the hell Kevin can possibly age 2 years inside of a year. So that is what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to rant about, because this is like the continuity doesn't make any sense. I suppose they probably just were using Macaulay Culkin's real age, but it's irritating. It's bothered me. Timelines don't match up, guys. Timelines don't match up. Okay, back to the video.
This has been Ranting with Media. Tune in next time to hear Media say...
Anyway, Kevin's parents are getting a divorce. Kevin, Buzz, and Megan are all living with their mom. Not sure what happened to Lenny and Jeff, but the movie also doesn't feel the need to tell us. Now, their dad makes them an offer to come and stay at the house of his new girlfriend for Christmas, which all 3 kids refuse, but the offer is left open. One day, Buzz is torturing Kevin particularly heavily, and Kevin decides he's had enough, so he runs away to his dad's girlfriend's place. Now, Dad's girlfriend, Natalie, is extremely rich and entertains dignitaries and other fancy folk all the time. At Christmas time, she is actually due to be entertaining a royal family. As luck would have it, around the time Kevin arrives, a couple of crooks, one of which is a recast Marv Merchants, one of Kevin's nemesis from the first 2, the other being Marv's wife, begin to try and case the place, planning to kidnap the prince of the royal family. Obviously, Kevin won't allow that, but he is unaware of an unseen third member of the gang. Even if the reveal of that third member is predictable for anyone who knows the Scooby-Doo formula.
Don't you recognize them, Sheriff?
Why, it's Zeb and Zeke.
And because of the predictability here, plus what is honestly a thin plot to begin with, we won't be awarding a Kernel. Absolutely none of the original actors returned this time.
Over time, its planks of wood rot and are replaced with new planks. When no original plank remains, is it still the ship of Theseus?
Our recast actors here include Mike Weinberg as Kevin, French Stewart as Marv, Gideon Jacobs as Buzz, Chelsea Russo as Megan, Claire Carey as Kate, and Jason Baggy as Peter. We also have Eric Avari as Prescott the butler, Barbara Babcock as Molly the maid, Joanna Going as Natalie, and Missy Pyle as Vera, Marv's wife. I feel like it's sad that the biggest names here are Missy Pyle and French Stewart. Anyway, the actors really try to actually make this movie not a total dumpster fire, but as much as they aren't awful, I still don't think they're great either. I really don't think we can award a Kernel here. It's strange, but I actually found a few lines memorable here. Near the beginning, Kevin gives the cab driver who takes him to Natalie's a piggy bank and tells him, "Keep the change," and the cabbie replies, "It's all change." After Marv and Vera break in the first time to case the place and Kevin repels them, they're all near the front door, and while I don't remember the exact dialogue here, the moment was memorable because Marv introduces Vera to Kevin and vice versa. He even uses Kevin's name.
Yeah! Wait, what?
It was a weird moment. Around the time of the actual heist, Vera says to Marv, "Marv, I've got a tinkle," and Marv replies, "Vera, you can tinkle next week." I don't know that she can hold it that long, man.
She's gonna blow!
Also, during the heist, Marv is lamenting his life at one point, saying, "I should have gone to college. 2 years and I could have been a dental technician." Which is an interesting little insight into his life and gets us to our magic number of quotes at 4, earning this one a Kernel. The soundtrack here is mostly uninspired. It does have one good song in it with James Brown's classic I Got You, but otherwise, it's a dud with little to talk about. Also, to me, it commits a bit of a sin for this franchise, or really any franchise. They leave out the theme. It's iconic. It's by John friggin' Williams.
And John Williams.
You know what? I don't even need to say more about the soundtrack. For me, that alone costs them the Kernel here. I don't really have much to say about the visuals of this one either. The only thing of note is that it's a TV movie and you can tell by looking at it within the first 18 seconds. Nothing stands out for the visuals good or bad otherwise, so I won't waste your time padding this out. No Kernel. Now let's tip out our bucket and see what we have. We have one Kernel. This movie, for me, does everything wrong that it can in a Home Alone movie. I actually did a bit of research about it and found out they did actually approach Daniel Stern to reprise his role. He quickly declined it, calling it an insult, total garbage. Look, maybe when one of the original cast who you're asking to return to a role hates the movie you want to make that much, maybe shelf it. I also found out that this one was originally intended to launch a TV series, and that's why it ends how it does instead of having Kate end up with Marv's brother, a cop, as in the original script.
I'd like to see that.
I would not even recommend this one as a first foray into the franchise because you can do better. Easily. Now, let's move on to... What is that?
Can I help you?
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Hey, cinephiles, I guess we're not done here. This guy, he gave me Home Alone 5, aka Home Alone: The Holiday Heist. This one is more belated than the previous entry, coming 10 years after 4, where 4 only came 5 years after 3.
Yeah, who taught you math? More? I don't know.
So, unlike the previous entry, this one chose to abandon the original characters and start with a new batch, so at least we shouldn't have casting complaints this time. So, let's get into it. The criteria for this one are plot and writing, acting, dialogue, visuals, and soundtrack. So in this one, a family moves across the country from California to Maine for the mom's job. The kids, one boy and one girl, have very real addictions to their phone or video games which their parents have allowed to develop, but I digress. After a casual suggestion by his older sister and a less than convincing suggestion that she's wrong by the realtor, Finn, our main character, is convinced the house is haunted by the bootlegger that used to live there, Deadleg. What the family doesn't know is that a trio of thieves believed that Deadleg had owned a lost work by Edvard Munch, a painting that the lead thief has a personal connection to. The thieves, obviously, had their eye on the house, planning to break in and get the painting while the house is on the market. Unfortunately for them, they arrive after the Baxters have already begun to move in, making things much more difficult. Meanwhile, Finn, completely convinced that the house is haunted, sets out to prove it. Only problem? When the thieves are scoping things out, figuring they might be able to get the painting while the family is away, they actually make it appear to Finn that there truly is a ghost. This whole misunderstanding probably led to this movie having the title it does in French, which Google tells me translates to, "Mom, ghosts stole our gifts."
You're what the French call les incompetents.
Later, Finn and his sister find that the safe the thieves cracked, finding nothing, contains the entrance to, well, essentially a speakeasy, and there's a painting on the wall. Somewhere in this time, the thieves begin plans to return to the house and get the painting, and Finn discovers that what he's been battling was not ghosts, but art thieves, and begins making preparations to deal with them. The story and writing are actually decent in this one, so I think we'll give them a kernel. Now, the big stars in this one are Christian Martin as Finn, Jodelle Ferland as Alexis, his sister, Malcolm McDowell for some reason as Sinclair, the leader of the thieves, Debbie Mazar as Jessica, the emotionally wrought thief, and Eddie Steeples as Hughes, the safecracker Sinclair hires for the job. We also have Ed Asner in here as Catherine's boss. Oh, Catherine is Finn's mom, but she and his dad have very little impact on the story here. How Ellie Harvey, who played Catherine, got nominated for a Best Actress award here of any kind is baffling, considering how little she actually has to do here. Honestly, most of the actors here are really hamming it up.
I am now the boss of Ham.
Overacting seems to be the flavor of the day for almost everyone except McDowell, Asner, and the parents, but 3 of those barely do anything. As for Martin, I think he may not have been cast for his acting chops. I kind of think they just said, "Hey, you, kid, can you scream like Macaulay Culkin?" Close enough. So, no, we won't be giving a kernel here. There are some noteworthy lines in this one. At one point, Catherine says of her children, they're not very good with real people. They're better with space robots and cell phones and things.
Sorry, not very good with people.
Shortly after arriving, Finn's parents force him to go and try to make friends with the neighbor boy, Mason. When asked about potential activities, Mason lists a good many that involve snow. Finn isn't into that so much and asks, isn't there anything that doesn't involve snow? To which Mason replies, we can make snow cones! Oh wait. Seriously though, this kid gave snow plans the way Bubba talks about shrimp recipes.
Shrimp soup, shrimp stew, shrimp salad, shrimp and potatoes.
Later in the movie, Alexis threatens to destroy the painting, and Sinclair states, a painting ripped in half can be repaired. The same cannot be said for little girls. Wow. Ominous. Around the same time as the earlier snow comment, Finn asks Mason if he wants to come over and play video games. Mason declines because the story is that the house is haunted and says, I'd like to hang out with you, but I'm too young to die. At another time, Catherine is attempting to put Finn's ghost concerns to rest and says, there's no such thing as ghosts, especially at Christmas time. Someone is not up on their dickens.
We don't want to scare the dickens out of people.
Later, at the start of the heist, Hughes is trying to go in through the garage and says, the house has a mind of its own, to which Sinclair replies, unlike someone I know. So, that's actually 6 lines. This one easily earns a kernel for dialogue. There's really not much to say about the visuals here. I mean, it's a TV movie, but it doesn't look as obviously so as the previous one did. I don't know. There's nothing really to say about the visuals. No kernel here. The soundtrack is alright. Pretty basic for the most part, but at least this one has some sort of version of the classic theme. Not the original, and not for long, but it is there. Briefly, on the title screen. Later in the movie, there is a montage of the kids misbehaving around the house while their parents are away, and it's set to a rocked-up version of Deck the Halls, performed by Jeremy Luzio. The soundtrack is fine, but not outstanding, so we won't give it a kernel here. Now let's tip out our bucket and see what we have. We have 2 kernels. Honestly, 4 is easily worse than this one, but I still wouldn't recommend you see it. If you feel like going to Walmart and getting the 5-pack of movies, that's your call, but I think I'd just stick to the first 3 if it were me. Now let's move on to... Whoa. What the...
Solemn, what's going on? Why are things glitching like this?
Dude, the
What's wrong with you? You didn't even run that far.
Shut up! Give me a second.
What were you doing when this all started?
I was reviewing Home Alone 5. I was just gonna do 4, but there was this guy. It's a whole thing.
Uh-huh. Did you forget about the other one?
There is another.
Come on, man. This is my show. Let me have the cutaways, please.
Let's go.
This is empty.
Well, no duh. Did you read it?
Are you getting dizzy too? The camera.
That one is a streaming exclusive. Digital's invading your whole situation. Do you understand now?
Hey, Cinephiles, apparently I missed one yet. We need to talk about Home Sweet Home Alone. I suppose I should still talk about it since we've already gotten started. To start with, the Home Alone franchise was owned by 20th Century Fox, but since then, the Walt Disney Company acquired Fox for a whopping $71.3 billion in March of 2019.
It has such a lovely round sound with all those zeros.
It was such a large sum of money being exchanged that it took them until then, having started the deal in December of 2017. With this acquisition, Disney received a good many properties previously owned by Fox, including the X-Men and Fantastic Four franchises and character rights, the distribution rights to the original cuts of Star Wars, television networks and back programming, as well as, in all that, the Home Alone franchise. The franchise lay dormant for a little while longer, until November 12th of this year when, after 9 years since the previous entry, they released Home Sweet Home Alone, the 6th entry, directly to their Disney Plus streaming platform, starring JoJo's best friend from Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah. What, behind the rabbit?
I should probably watch this one yet. Give me a second. So, let's talk about the criteria here. This time, we'll be looking at plot and writing, acting, dialogue, visuals, and soundtrack. Now, Jeff and Pam are trying to sell their house, but they want to do it without their kids finding out. The only reason they're selling is because they can't afford to keep it, as Jeff is unemployed, so they're only living on Pam's teaching salary. Max and his mom are fairly new to the area and stop into the open house on their way home so Max can use the bathroom. While there, they pretend to look at the house, and Jeff brings out a box of his grandmother's old dolls. Creepy dolls. One of them even has an upside-down head.
This whole situation has just turned his whole life upside down face.
Max and his mom go home, and Jeff and Pam find out that the dolls could be quite valuable. Jeff investigates, and by investigates, I mean he looks it up on eBay and decides that the asking price for the item is the same thing as value, like he's writing a BuzzFeed article, and discovers that the doll with the upside-down head is worth $200,000. Elated, he goes to the box to get to the doll, figuring he could sell it, and his family could keep their house. But the doll is gone. When did he see it last? It was when that British kid was here. He must have taken it. So Jeff goes to Max's house and finds people loading into vehicles. The family is going to Tokyo. Everyone conveniently ends up showing Jeff where the extra key is hidden and tells him the alarm code, but Jeff decides he'll come back later with Pam. Meanwhile, Max was having a bad night with all of his cousins in the house and nobody paying attention to him, so he went to the garage and watched classic Looney Tunes cartoons in the car where he fell asleep. He wakes up to silence. He's been left home alone. Later, after Max had his obligatory I can do anything I want montage, Jeff and Pam come by and attempt to break into the house through the back. Failing, they decide to return later, but Max overhears their plan and hears them talking about stealing the ugly little boy and selling him to an old lady. Max understands this as they're going to kidnap him and begins planning to defend himself. Meanwhile, his mom is pulling a Kate McAllister and trying to get back home to him. There's even a shot in here of the family watching an updated version of Angels with Filthy Souls and commenting on remakes always being worse. People really need to stop making meta-commentary about lesser quality of remakes and sequels and inferior remakes and sequels.
Well, at least we can all agree the third one's always the worst.
Anyway, I actually like the story here and how it isn't just a complete retread of the original formula, so they can have a Kernel here. Our main actors here are Archie Yates as Max, Ellie Kemper as Pam, and Rob Delaney as Jeff. However, we also have a few notable cameos here with Jim Rash as the leader of the bell choir that Jeff and Pam are a part of, Chris Parnell as Stu, who disappears after one scene. He must have had something better to do. And Devin Rattray returning as Kevin's older brother Buzz, who's now a cop. Cameos are all fun, and each of the main actors brings something to the table, with young Mr. Yates as Max bringing in some of the cruelest traps in the franchise. Maybe because he watched classic Looney Tunes and not the current crappy version? I don't know. Rob Delaney makes Jeff believably pedantic, but he does something that seems to be a trend lately. He's a tech guy who hates the cloud. Not sure why it became a thing to go, oh, we're making a modern comedy, better have somebody hate the cloud. But it seems to have become a thing. Ellie Kemper is intense as Pam, a bit more intense than you might expect of a teacher, but she teaches a lower grade, and while I don't remember being that wild, recess would have us believe certain young ones are all but cannibals. For the performances here, we'll give them a Kernel. Max gets a couple of memorable lines in the movie. After Jeff and Pam leave and are confronted by Officer McAllister outside, Max thinks maybe he can tell the cops about their plan, but then he imagines his mom being sent to jail for leaving him home alone and decides maybe the police is a bad idea. Who wrote this line?
What'd he say?
I'm not sure. Either I told you so, or yes, Art Barcamp Thursday table.
Later, while Jeff and Pam are in the house, Max hollers out, "Given up yet, or are you thirsty for more?" But I think that one is really only memorable because it's essentially a line Kevin used in one of the first two. Also, on a mostly unrelated note, a few characters in the movie directly address the elf on the shelf that appears in a few shots, and my own feelings about the things notwithstanding, these people are way too concerned about what a toy elf might think of their actions. In regards to dialogue, though, this only leaves us with 2 lines of dialogue, so there won't be a Kernel here. As far as the visuals go, there are a few decent traps here, but apart from that and some pretty blatant product placement from Toblerone and Frosted Flakes, there isn't much to talk about. And I mean blatant product placement.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
We won't give a Kernel for visuals here. Now, the soundtrack actually did a few things right. For starters, they reached back into the classic Home Alone movies and pulled some of the classic score elements in, including the classic John Williams track Somewhere in My Memory. The actual main theme is absent again, which I had said was enough to cost them a Kernel, but having included this one, we'll call that a wash so far. Oh, but wait. They also included Christmas All Over Again by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Nice. Well, I'm sold. I think we'll give them a Kernel for soundtrack here. Now let's tip out our bucket and see what we have. We have 3 Kernels. You know what? I actually didn't hate this one as completely as I expected to. It isn't anywhere near the quality of the originals, but come on, those were done by John Hughes and Chris Columbus. As far as the second trilogy in this franchise goes, this is the only one I might recommend, and I'm not even sure that will happen much. Now let's move on to...
We're gonna finally be fine.
Let's move on to Name That Frame. first thing we should cover is the answer to the round from my Jingle All the Way 2 and Christmas Vacation 2 videos. That movie was A Charlie Brown Christmas. Did you get it? Shout out to those who did. Now, if you look at my screen, we have a still for our next round. Know what it is? Comment below. Also, if you have any other comments or any questions or ideas, feel free to leave those down there too. I try to answer everything. Thank you for watching, guys, and from all of us here,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Oh, wait. I think I still have... I do. I still have a couple of Christmas spirit kernels. Oh well. Ooh. That ain't right. I'll, see you guys in... Oof. Probably January.